The drums were loud, too loud. They echoed through the village square, mixing with the sounds of laughter, clinking glasses, and excited chatter. But for Adora, the 19-year-old bride, it all felt distant, like she was trapped in a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. Dressed in an elaborate coral beaded gown, her face was painted with the finest traditional makeup, but her heart was heavy. Her eyes darted around, searching for an escape, but there was none. The man she was marrying, Chief Okafor, sat proudly in his chair, a bloated stomach resting under his agbada, his grey beard glistening with oil from the goat meat he had just eaten. He was nearly 3 times her age. She swallowed hard as she stole a glance at her mother, Mama Ada, who stood with a wild smile, shaking hands with guests, laughing as if nothing was wrong. Adaora wanted to scream, to beg her mother to stop this wedding, to remind her that she was still a child. But she knew it wouldn't matter. 3 months ago, she had been hungry. The landlord had thrown them out of their one-bedroom apartment because she couldn't pay rent. Adaora had watched her mother cry herself to sleep, whispering about how unfair life was, how Adora needed to save them by marrying Chief Okafor. Now, here she was, dressed like a princess, but feeling like a prisoner. A sharp voice interrupted her thoughts. Dance for your husband, someone shouted, and the crowd cheered. Her hands trembled as she stood up. Chief Okafor leaned closer, his breath thick with the smell of alcohol. Smile, my wife. Let them see how happy you are. Adora forced a smile. The guests clapped, but deep inside, she knew the moment she left this village with him, her life would never be the same. The road to Chief Okafor's mansion was long and bumpy. Adora sat in the back of the black SUV, her hands gripping her dress tightly. She stared outside the window, watching as the familiar sights of her village faded into the distance. With every passing mile, her heart sank deeper. She had officially left behind everything she had ever known. Beside her, Chief Okafor snored loudly, his heavy body sinking into the leather seat. The stench of alcohol and sweat filled the car, making Adora press herself against the door, desperate for air. She stole a glance at the driver, a muscular man with a scar running across his cheek. He caught her gaze in the rear-view mirror and smirked before turning back to the road. After what felt like hours, they arrived at the mansion. The gates opened slowly, revealing a massive compound. The house was a towering white structure with high walls and expensive cars parked in the driveway. It looked beautiful, yet cold and unwelcoming. Welcome home, my wife, Chief Okafor grinned, stepping out of the car. Adaora followed, her steps hesitant. The air smelled of expensive perfume and cigar smoke. Inside the house, the floors were marble and the chandeliers sparkled like diamonds. Everything screamed wealth, but it didn't bring her comfort. Instead, it reminded her of the price she had to pay to be there. A woman in a maid's uniform rushed forward, bowing down. Welcome, madam, she said. Adora barely managed a nod. She could feel eyes on her, servants staring and whispering. She was young and they knew it. They knew she wasn't here by choice. Chief Okafor threw his agbada on the couch and poured himself a drink. Tomorrow, I will take you shopping. You must look like the wife of a wealthy man. He took a sip and licked his lips, his eyes scanning her body. Adora's stomach twisted. She had dreaded this moment, the moment he would remind her that she was his now. "Come here," he said, his voice deep and commanding. She didn't move. "I said come here." His voice was louder this time. The maids quickly disappeared. Adora took slow steps towards him, her heart pounding. Every muscle in her body screamed for her to run. But where would she go? Chief Okafor reached for her waist, pulling her closer. His fingers were rough, his breath hot against her skin. She closed her eyes, willing herself to disappear, but she couldn't. This was her life now, and it was only just the beginning. Adara sat on the edge of the massive bed, staring at her reflection in the mirror. The gold-trimmed dressing table, the silk curtains, the sparkling diamond necklace Chief Okafor had placed around her neck. It all meant nothing. She felt trapped. The night had been long and terrifying. Chief Okafor had claimed his rights as her husband, leaving her broken in ways she never imagined. The pain in her body was nothing compared to the emptiness in her heart. She dreamt of love, of a marriage filled with laughter and joy. Instead, she had been bought like a piece of furniture in a rich man's house. A knock on the door made her flinch. "Madam, breakfast is ready," a maid's voice called out. Adora hesitated. She wanted to coil up in bed and disappear, but she knew that wasn't an option. Slowly, she stood up, wincing at the soreness in her body, and walked downstairs. The dining table was covered with food, fresh fruits, steaming hot yam pottage, fried eggs and bread. Chief Okafor sat at the head of the table, dressed in a white kaftan, a cigar resting between his fingers. "Good morning, my wife," he said, chewing loudly. Adora mumbled a greeting and sat down. She wasn't hungry, but she forced herself to eat. She needed strength to survive this place. As she picked her food, a woman walked in. She was tall and beautiful, wearing a fitted lace gown and high heels. The way she moved, the confidence in her eyes, made Adora feel small. The woman smirked. "So this is the new bride." Chief Okafor chuckled. "Yes, Amaka. She's still very shy." Adora's stomach twisted. Amaka. The name sounded familiar. Then it hit her. She was his first wife, the one people whispered about, the one who had mysteriously disappeared from public views years ago. Amaka leaned closer, her smile cold. "Welcome to the family, my dear. I hope you enjoy your stay." There was something unsettling in her tone, a warning hidden behind her perfect smile. Adora swallowed hard. For the first time, she realized something. This house was not just a prison. It was a graveyard of broken women, and if she wasn't careful, she would be next. The next days blurred into weeks, and Adora learned quickly. This house was a battlefield. Chief Okafor had moods. Some days he would shower her with gifts, telling her how lucky she was to be his wife. Other days he would snap over the smallest things. Her tone, her refusal to eat, her hesitation when he touched her. Those days she learned to shrink herself to obey without question. But nothing prepared her for the night she got her first scar. It had started with a simple mistake. She had spilled a glass of wine. The dining room fell silent. The servants froze, their heads bowed. Amaka, the first wife, sipped her drink and watched, as if waiting for the storm to come. Chief Okafor's jaw tightened. What did you just do? Adora's hands trembled. I'm, I'm sorry. His eyes darkened. You're sorry. She stepped back. It was an accident. Before she could move, his hand struck her face. The force sent her crashing into the table. Plates shattered, food spilled, and pain exploded in her cheek. The maids remained still. No one moved. No one even gasped, because this was normal. Amaka leaned back in her chair, her fingers tapping against her glass. Now you're learning, she murmured. Adora's breath came in sharp, painful gasps. She touched her face and felt warm blood trickling from her lips. Chief Okafor stood over her, his heavy breathing filling the room. You are my wife. You will learn discipline. He grabbed her arm and pulled her up, squeezing so tightly that fresh pain shot through her wrist. Tears welled in Amaka's eyes, but she refused to cry. She wouldn't give him that satisfaction. Later that night, as she lay in bed, her cheek burning from the slap, she thought of her mother. Mama Ada had sold her into this life. She had told her it would be worth it, that she would be taken care of, that she would live like a queen. Adora let out a hollow laugh. A queen? No, she was a prisoner, and she was beginning to realize this wasn't just about marriage, this was about survival. Adora's cheek was still swollen the next morning. She avoided the mirrors, the servants, and most importantly, Chief Okafor. But she couldn't avoid Amaka. The first wife appeared in her room that evening, dressed in a silk robe, her nails painted a deep red. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, a knowing smirk on her lips. You thought marriage to a rich man would be a fairy tale, didn't you? Amaka said. Adora remained silent. She had learned that speaking too much in this house led to punishment. Amaka chuckled, stepping into the room. I used to be like you, young, full of hope, thinking I could handle him. She touched the diamond necklace around her throat. Then I realized something. This house is not for love, it's for survivors. Adora clenched her fist. Then why are you still here? Amaka leaned in, her perfume thick and intoxicating. Because I learned the rules. I stopped fighting. I gave him what he wanted, and in return, I took what I needed. Adora frowned. What do you mean? Amaka smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You think Chief Okafor is powerful. The real power is in knowing his weakness, his fears, his secrets. Adora's breath caught. He has secrets. Amaka leaned against the dresser. Many, but there is one you should know. She tilted her head. Do you ever wonder why his first three wives disappeared? A chill ran down Amaka's spine. I I thought they left. Amaka laughed softly. That's what he wants people to believe. Silence filled the room. Adora's skin prickled. Then what happened to them? Amaka studied her as if deciding whether to speak. Then she whispered, they never left. Adora's stomach twisted. The air suddenly felt heavy, suffocating. She wanted to ask more, but Amaka had already turned towards the door. Stay smart, little wife, she murmured, or you'll end up like them. She left, closing the door behind her. Adora sat frozen, her heart pounding in her ears. She had always feared Chief Okafor, but now she realized she didn't just need to escape him, she needed to survive him. Sleep refused to come that night. Adora lay awake, Amaka's word echoing in her mind. They never left. What did that mean? Had Chief Okafor killed them? The thought sent shivers down her spine. She turned on her side, staring at the dimly lit room. The curtains swayed even though the windows were shut. Outside, the night was silent. Then she heard it, a whisper, faint, barely there but unmistakable. Adora sat up, her breath hitching. The sound was coming from inside the walls. She crept out of bed, her heart pounding, pressing her ear to the cold marble wall. She listened. At first, there was nothing. Then, a soft murmur, a woman's desperate voice, weak and desperate. Help me. Adora jacked back, nearly stumbling. Her skin crawled. Was she imagining it? Was exhaustion playing tricks on her? But the voice came again, this time more urgent. Please, he's coming. Adora's throat went dry. Who was speaking? Her hands trembled as she ran along the wall, searching for something, anything, and then, near the corner of the room, she felt it, a slight indentation in the wall, a hidden door. Her pulse thundered. Should she open it? Was it a trap? She hesitated for a moment before pushing against the spot. At first, nothing happened. Then a soft click. The panel slid open an inch, revealing darkness beyond. A narrow passage. Adora stepped back, her instincts screaming danger. Then she heard footsteps, heavy, coming towards her room. Chief Okafor. Panic surged through her. She shoved the panel back into place and rushed into bed, pulling the sheets over her. Just as the door swung open, Chief Okafor stood there, his figure shadowed in the dim light. His eyes swept over the room. Why are you awake? He asked, voice thick with suspicion. Adora forced her breathing to stop. I, I couldn't sleep. He stared at her for a long moment, then grunted, Go to bed. He turned and left, but Adora knew now. This house was hiding something, and if she wasn't careful, she would never make it out alive. Adora didn't sleep. She lay frozen under the covers, waiting for the sound of Chief Okafor's footsteps to fade. Then slowly she sat up, her heart pounding as she tiptoed towards the hidden panel in the wall. Her fingers trembled as she pressed the indentation again. Another soft click echoed through the room, and the door slid open once more. A dark, narrow passage stretched before her. The air smelled damp, like old wood and decay. Adora swallowed hard. Every instinct told her to turn back, to pretend she never found this, but she couldn't. She had to know. Stepping inside, she moved cautiously, the cold stone floor numbing her bare feet. The passage twisted and turned, leading her downward. The deeper she went, the stronger the scent of something rotten became. Then she saw it, a door, rusted, heavy, slightly ajar. Adora hesitated, her breath shaky. Then she pushed it open. The dim glow from a high flickering bulb revealed a small windowless room. But what sent terror clawing up her throat were the things inside. Chains bolted to the walls, torn pieces of clothing, and in the corner, human bones. Adora slapped a hand over her mouth, biting back a scream. The stories were true. The first wives never left. They had died here, and she was next. A sob escaped her lips, and she backed away, only to hit something solid. Someone was behind her. A hand clamped over her mouth. Shh, a voice whispered. Adora's entire body went stiff. She turned her head slightly, eyes wide. It was Amaka. Her eyes burned with urgency. You shouldn't be here. Adora struggled against her grip, but Amaka shook her head. Listen to me. If he finds you here, you won't make it till morning. Tears stung Adora's eyes. What's this place? She whispered. Amaka's face darkened. This is where he keeps the ones who disobey. Adora's stomach twisted in horror. We have to get out of here, she breathed. Amaka's lips parted into something, a smile and a sigh. Oh, my dear. She glanced at the bones in the corner. No one lives. Adora's blood turned to ice. Then a sound from above. Footsteps. Chief Okafor was coming, and this time he wasn't coming to warn her. He was coming to end her. The footstep above grew louder, slow, deliberate. Chief Okafor was close by. Adora's pulse pounded in her ears. She was trapped. Amaka grabbed her waist, yanking her towards the back of the hidden chamber. There's another way out, she whispered. Adora hesitated, her eyes darting to the rusted chains, the bones, the ghosts of women who stood where she now stood. If we don't move, we die, Amaka hissed. That was enough. Adora followed, their bare feet making no sound as they hurried through the darkness. Behind them, the rusted door creaked open. Chief Okafor was inside the chamber. Adora clamped a hand over her mouth to stifle a whimper. Amaka pressed against the cold wall, holding her breath. Then came the voice, low and angry. I know you are here, Adora. The walls felt like they were closing in. Do you think you're the first to try this? Chief Okafor's voice was taunting, laced with amusement. A chilling chuckle followed. They all tried to run. Adora squeezed her eyes shut. The smell of decay was thick in the air. If she died here, her body would rot alongside others. Suddenly, Amaka moved fast. She shoved a section of the wall, and with a groan, a panel slid open, a hidden passage. Adora didn't think, she just ran. Amaka followed, pulling the door shut behind them. The moment it clicked into place, Chief Okafor's voice snapped. Where are you? The walls shook as if something crashed against the rusted door. Adora's leg burned as she ran through the narrow tunnel, the walls closing in, the darkness swallowing them. The passage smelled of mold, damp earth, and something else, something rotten. Then up ahead, there was a ladder. Amaka shoved Adora forward. Climb, she shouted. Adora scrambled up, her fingers slick with sweat. Amaka followed as they reached to the top. Adora shoved against a trapped door. For a terrifying moment, it wouldn't budge. Then, with a loud crack, it burst open. Fresh air rushed in. They were outside. Adora fell onto damp grass, gulping in the cold night air. Amaka was beside her, her body trembling with exhaustion. Then a sound from below. The trapdoor ripped open. A hand shot out. Chief Okafor was coming. Amaka grabbed a nearby rock and swung. A sickening crack. A roar of pain. Adora and Amaka stared at the unmoving hand. Their breaths ragged. The night stretched wide and dark around them. They had escaped, but for how long? The silence stretched. The hand sticking out of the trapdoor was still there. Amaka clutched the blood-covered rock in her hand, shaking, her breath ragged. "Did I kill him?" she whispered. Adora couldn't answer. She was too busy staring at the darkness below, half expecting Chief Okafor to launch out at them like a wounded beast. Then movement, a slow jerking twitch of the fingers, a deep groan. "He's not dead," Adora breathed. "Run!" They bolted, barefoot, weak, their bodies battered with exhaustion. But they ran. The estate was vast, surrounded by thick trees and endless darkness. Somewhere in the distance, the glow of the main house flickered like a watchful eyes. Amaka grabbed Adora's wrist, pulling her towards a break in the trees. "There is a road," she panted. "We just have to make it." A gunshot shattered the night. The bullet tore into a tree inches away from Amaka's head. They screamed. Behind them, Chief Okafor was climbing out of the trapdoor, gun in his hand. Blood dripped from his temple where Amaka had struck him, but his rage burned brighter than his pain. "You think you can live?" he roared. Another shot. The bullet grazed Adora's arm. Pain shot through her, but she didn't stop. She couldn't stop. The trees grew denser. Their feet pounded against the dirt, breath tearing from their throats. Then they saw headlights. Up ahead, a pair of bright lights cut through the darkness. The roar of an approaching vehicle. "Wave them down," Amaka gasped. Adora stumbled onto the road, flaring her arms. "Stop, please." The car stretched to a halt, gravel flying. A man stepped out, his face shadowed under the harsh lights. "What the hell?" Before he could finish, another gunshot rang out. The man ducked behind the door. "What the?" His eyes darted towards the tree where Chief Okafor was emerging, his gun raised. The driver didn't hesitate. He pulled a gun of his own. Then bang! Chief Okafor staggered back, clutching his chest. A sharp gasp left his lips as he stared down at the spreading blood. His gun clattered to the ground. His mouth moved soundless. Then he fell. The night swallowed him. The silence that followed was deafening. Adora collapsed on the road, gasping. Amaka dropped beside her, both of them shaking uncontrollably. The driver approached cautiously, gun still raised. "Who the hell was that?" Adora's lip trembled. "A monster." The man exhaled sharply, then looked at them. "Where do you girls need to go?" Adora exchanged a look with Amaka. "Fire," she whispered. The driver nodded. "Then get in." They didn't hesitate. As the car sped off into the night, Adora watched the mansion disappear in the rearview mirror, its towering presence swallowed by darkness. She had survived, but she would never be the same.